Let's call the meeting order. Oh, thank you. Now you can hear me. Let's call the meeting order for May 2nd, 2017. We're at 6:02. This time, I need approval of the agenda. So moved. I got a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Any correction? No discussion. All in favor? Aye. Aye. No, ayes have it. Tonight's invocation and pledge is Reverend Rob McDaniels, Pitts Chapel United Methodist Church.
Big restitution.
We all need that.
Let's pray. The Christian prayer begins by saying, "Our Father." We are reminded that we all belong to you, hence we are brothers and sisters. Also says in heaven. We find that heaven's in pretty good shape with you, O God, but it's here on earth that we have our problems. So this commission has been given the task of meeting the needs of people in our community and building it up. We thank you that you use our civil government to serve a sacred purpose. Through Christ we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Chris. Okay. All right, this time we got a consent agenda, and for approval of the minutes, we've got work session April 18th, 2017, 5 p.m. Third Tuesday, April 18th, 2017. We've got a call meeting April 25th, 2017 at 5:30 p.m. I need a motion for approval of the minutes and consent agenda.
So moved.
We had a motion, we got a second? Second. No discussion, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Ayes have it. And no visitors tonight. Sherry Bryant, Young County Health Department, back to school carnival. Good evening, Miss Sherry. How you doing?
Good evening, thank you for allowing. Okay, this is new for me, I'm a little nervous.
You'll do fine.
I come to talk to y'all about our Back to School Festival. Last year, we did it for the first time in collaboration with Live Healthy Jones, Family Connections, and we served over 300 children, and we were able to supply them with book bags, school supplies, paper, pen, crayons, scissors, and other things. This year, we foresee it to be a lot bigger, and we are having it July 20th at 3 to 6 at Gray Elementary in the gymnasium. Along with the health department, it's Charity Benevolent, Mr. Larry, I cannot think of his last name. He provided most of the supplies last year, and a lot of local churches. We perceive to have, like I said, a lot more children, and why I'm here is to see if you all would help with some of those school supplies. We're talking book bags, paper, pencils, whatever they need, because these children don't go to school and just have to have paper and pencils. They've got to have Kleenex and sanitizer and whatever the teacher wants them to have. So it is humbling for me to ask you all to assist us in this endeavor.
Any questions for Ms. Bryant?
No questions, Mr. Chairman. I just know we participated in it last year. It was a great event. A lot of kids turned out, and a lot of kids got a lot of good school supplies. So I like to try to help out wherever we can.
Any other discussion or questions?
And this event is not only just a back to school event. There are vendors from all different avenues that come, like community health, doctor's office. We will be offering free vaccines, free hearing, vision, and dentals. We will not be able to do it on site, but we're going to give vouchers. So that's going to save a lot of families a lot of money and hopefully time. So we would appreciate any given help you would give.
Understand? I mean, I think we can do individual commitments. I don't know that we can do anything with, has the county done anything in the past?
I think it's the first time she'd ever asked, to my knowledge.
Well, this is the second year we did it.
Okay, but you didn't ask last year, did you?
No, sir,
Okay.
did not.
You know, on a personal basis, I wouldn't have any problem at all contributing toward the cause.
Thank you.
Any more questions or? Ms. Bryant, I appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So,
We go to new business. We got an energy agreement with Georgia Department of Transportation for intersections at State Route 44, where the Department of Transportation is a proposed roundabout, Marine Settlement intersection, State Route 11 intersection, State Route 22 intersection. You go to page 10 on in your booklet, you'll see I put an insert in there after the last minute between 10 and 11 for you to look at. There was a question on the amount of cost it would incur the county. And Commissioner Kitchens had a question. He said that he didn't feel like the numbers were accurate. I'd like to ask for his comment.
I'm not so sure so much about them being accurate, just don't know the accuracy of it. Because there's no, where did we get these numbers?
There's no history.
I asked and the answer was from projects that have been done in the past. That's not a very scientific answer, but
Any more discussion on this matter?
Yes,
Go
sir.
ahead, Mr. Robinson.
I want to start by saying that the work session that we had with DOT, the group of people that came are all fine people. And they're out there working for a living, just like everybody else. DOT's problem is certainly not with them. I believe someone else said this past week that the problem is the bureaucracy. And I think that my comments represented the vast majority of the people of Jones County. This, I'm not concerned about how everybody else does things. And I'm sure DOT will just tell us, well, if you don't pay up, we're not going to do the lights. I don't doubt that. But we pay state tax. And we keep on paying and keep on paying. The state cuts their budgets, but our taxes never get cut. This is another injustice to, and I can't speak for all the other counties, but it's an injustice to Jones County. All the tax money that we send to Atlanta, and then we're asked or told that we're going to pay the light bill, and for everybody listening, that sounds like not a whole lot. When you just hear, well, if you just pay the light bill, we'll do this. But I added and figured up some numbers, and it doesn't even say the engineer for DOT says the lifespan of the system is 25 years. The contract is for 50. According to what I read, that means that Jones County is going to have to replace the whole system in 25 years. Now, my figures don't even take into consideration how much that'll cost, because DOT hadn't told us that, and they won't until the chairman is authorized to sign that contract. 25 years is the life of the system, but 50 years is the life of the contract. And I think, it's just my opinion, there's nothing scientific about the numbers they gave us, I know, but in my opinion, the estimates they gave were extremely low. And keep in mind that they're going to go up every year for 50 years, but just using the numbers that they gave us for LED, the energy cost $240 a month. For 25 years, that's $72,000 for the life of the system. For the life of the contract, it's $144,000. The maintenance cost, DOT's estimate of $4,000 per year times 50 years, that's $200,000. the life of the contract. Knockdowns, which I think is what DOT is calling when there's a wreck and the light pole and everything gets knocked over, they're estimating 3 per 25 years, which I think that's probably low. And each one costing an estimated $8,000 each. That's $24,000 for the life of the first system and $48,000 for the life of the contract. So when you total up the energy cost, the maintenance cost, and the knockdowns for the 50-year contract, that's $392,000. And I'm assuming, according to the way the contract reads, that Jones County would have to pay for another new system in 25 years. And I say that would be added on top of this 392, which I'll say again, I think is a very conservative estimate. I know we're not going to change DOT, but I'm not going to support paying this. I think it's Georgia's responsibility because of the tax money we pay. I know the lights are needed, there's no doubt, and I want the lights, but I disagree with Jones County taxpayers having to put this money out.
Any other discussion, Commissioner Pitts?
I guess I would just only ask for what is going to be the proposal of the board, being that we asked for the lights and it's kind of common practice that the counties do, pay that light bill, and we're exploring the solar option. So are we just going to, don't worry about the lights, we're just going to pass on them, or I guess I want to kind of get an idea what the board is thinking, because
I forgot to add this, Commissioner Pitts, if you forgive me. For Jones County to be asked to pay your state taxes like we do, and then on top of that, because you use the road, pay the light bill too. If you can imagine this board, and this would never happen, if you can imagine this board going to the recreational ball teams in Jones County and tell them, you pay your county taxes, but since you use these fields, we want you to pay the light bill, or we're going to cut them off. Just imagine that reaction. And that's the point I'm trying to make. Now, I don't have the answer for if we don't agree to what they want. I don't know if anybody has ever even gone down that road. I just don't agree with the county paying the light bill.
Commissioner Martin, have you got any discussion on this matter?
Absolutely. I had the privilege of driving through at least half of the counties in this state and across a bunch of bypasses. It's unfortunate what has happened on our bypass. Poor DOT design, I don't know. But when I drive through Madison, there's one light in the middle after the Walmart. Then the next light is way on the other end. When I get to a bypass near Athens, no lights, and the speed limit is 65 miles an hour. And the only light you encounter is when you turn off, and then maybe when you get close to the end where the gas station is, and then there's no lights. So to force us to take this roundabout, because they goofed up, got a problem with that, and then to make us pay for it, absolutely. Considering, again, the other options that are around the state, what the sheriff did, can I say fixed it? Can I say that? Is it too early?
We haven't had any extras
All right.
that I know of. I mean, as of the.
Maybe our sheriff's smarter than DOT, I don't know. But it resolved it. And is it a short-term fix? I don't know. If we get growth out there, can we still whittle it down to one lane? Maybe we and the other folks who have not come through our county had to get used to it. I don't know. But what I see across the state is almost what we have, with the exception of there'd be a light at that particular intersection. So I don't want to pay for it. I like the idea of some traffic easing, considering what we could do out there. I missed part of the meeting with that part. Are they planning to go to 65 miles an hour like the other bypasses? Did anybody ask that question?
I didn't ask that
That's
question.
a whole other element.
I believe it was asked, but They said they didn't know.
They didn't know at this time.
I believe they said it was gonna be 65, because I asked the gentleman what was gonna happen, where would they have the first warnings, because I said, I assume the speed limit's gonna be 65 and people will be driving that in 70 or 75.
That's right.
And he said, yeah. I think I remember.
You're right, you did, because I think you ended up talking to the sheriff about it.
And the sheriff
10.
agreed that you get 10 miles over the speed limit under Georgia law before they give you a ticket.
Right.
That's the,
So with all that in mind and everything I've seen across the state, our sheriff kind of resolved it, and we and the other travelers through our state, through our county, have to get comfortable with that. Or the option is us footing this bill, and no, I don't want to foot the bill.
for the record right here, which we're voting on tonight, the radar list is 55 miles an hour for the grade bypass. Thank you, Ms. Marty. Keeping it straight.
Delay that vote for a little while.
Mr. Kitchen, you got any more discussion?
Yeah, I tend to agree, we're talking about depending on how you look at it, a 25 or 50-year investment. 25 on them now and 50 on us going forward. We don't know what kind of development's going on the bypass, but we do know that as development occurs on the four corners of each intersection, they're not gonna build in the dark. That can be incorporated in construction. That's a tough one. I disagreed with the resolution myself. As far as the roundabout traffic calming, I think it's a lot of money being spent. It can be done in different ways, and I voiced that opinion earlier, so.
Another point to be made too is they pulled $1 million out of thin air for a roundabout, but they still want us to pay this $392,000.
Well, we have this, we need a motion of some,
So for an example, we're gonna go along with the bypass, just at this time, we're not gonna pay for lighting. That's what I'm understanding everything correctly. Is that right?
we need a motion to that effect,
No,
if that's what
okay.
we want to do.
Well, I guess what he's asking is, and the way it was put to us to begin with was if we're not gonna pay for the lighting, they're not gonna fix the bypass.
I hadn't heard that.
No, I was thinking that it's just, it's optional with the lighting. They wouldn't, yeah, it's
Think of the
optional.
lighting issue, whether they're gonna put them in or not.
So if we don't pay for the electricity, they're not gonna put in the lights.
No, yeah, basically, but it's way more than just the electricity.
Yeah.
We'll need a motion of some kind of,
Well, I think we ought to explore. I think we should go down that road and find out what options we do have.
do we need to table this and search out other options?
Possibly so.
All right. So a motion to table this and look for more information.
That'd be my recommendation. I'd make a motion that we table it.
Okay, we got a motion to table it.
I'll second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Well, in my discussion, we need
I'm sorry.
to assign, the task of finding out, our options. And in writing, from DOT, what our options are and what they aren't.
Okay. Okay. All right, we've had a motion to second. Sorry for rushing the discussion. All in favor, aye? Opposed? Ayes have it. Number 2 on our agenda, approval of transmittal resolution 20174-1R and an annual update report on the capital improvement elements. Mr. Jasmine, is this yours?
Sir, sorry.
Come on.
Thank you, Chairman. I am here to request that the Board of Commissioners submit the annual update of the capital improvements element to the Middle Georgia Regional Commission for review as per the requirements of the Georgia Planning Act of 1989. Following that review by the commission, we will submit the capital improvements element annual update to DCA on behalf of the county. This is just the first step that we need to take.
Any questions for Ms. Campbell?
And we also were provided a copy of the complete update that we'll be submitting for fiscal year 2016. So that's exactly what we'll be submitting for you guys.
This time, we're gonna need a motion for this transmittal resolution.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? No discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you very much. Three on our new business, GICH, Georgia Initiative for Community Housing, request for city and county shared plan retreat funding for 2017-18 budget year. Mr. Black, would you like to come forward?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Thanks, Black.
Back in 2001, Plan helped us establish a housing committee. And we functioned with our chairperson at that time was Dr. Betty Williams. And from the beginning, we got the Dulles apartment complex. Then we were asked, or it was suggested in 2009 that we become a GIT community, and we did. We applied for our first grant, it was turned down. And then we learned what we needed to do to bolster our grant, and we were funded for $385,000. And we did the city's streetscape on Martin Luther King Drive. Next year we applied for another grant, and we were turned down again. So it seemed that we apply, we reject, the next year we get. So we were rejected, and then the following year we did receive, last year, we were approved of another grant to finish what we had started. And then there was also a CHIP grant on section Highway 49. When we became a GIT community, it was required that we spend the next 3 years going to retreats, two retreats a year until we finished, and we did. And we presented the bills to the city council. We were also told by DCA that we should think about coming back to the retreat to look at our successes and our failures since 2009, and then to see where we wanted to go. Our mantra has always been affordable and sustainable housing in Jones County. The apartment complexes that we have basically are for seniors. We don't have anything right now for young married couples, for young people. So young folks who want to live here don't have anywhere to stay literally. So we're hoping when we go back to retreat, with your help financially, that we can plan for the sustainable housing for the county. So we're asking that you consider our request in your budget to help us go. And we just found out last week that the retreat will be in Athens. We don't know the venue yet, but when we were there for a conference, it was on campus, at the hotel on campus. We should know next week where we'll be staying. And by end of next week, hopefully between 6 and 8 of our committee members will attend. The retreat is from September 19th through the 21st. We plan to go up on the 20th to listen to the culminating reports from all of the cities that have been involved in the GET program. Go to lunch, dinner, and then the 21st, that morning, it will be dedicated to Jones County. We will be the second GET community. Last year it was Warner Robins, so that we will be the second GET community to have gone through this process, to look at where we've been and to plan where we want to go. We did learn that once we are a GET community, we'll always be a GET community. And developers coming in, one of the things they look for is to see if this county is a GET community. So I'm just asking that you include us in your budget. I had initially requested $600 from both groups. The city council gave us $1,500. So I'm just asking that you kind of want to match that a little bit. But we do whether it's just I go or 6 or 8 of us go, we plan to go so we can look and see where we want to go in the future. Because we do need sustainable and affordable housing in Jones County. Thank you for listening.
All right, thank you. Is any questions? Mr. Black?
Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
No question, just a comment. This is a generic comment, I think, when you're recognized by DCA that you're doing something good and they basically invite you, the future benefit of that is tremendous. So I would highly recommend that we sponsor this group.
Okay, any other questions or comments, Mr. Black?
Just want to go on with what Commissioner Kitchens mentioned, because on a lot of our grants that we apply for, they ask about our Get community. We get points for it. So I'd hate for us not to continue to support the organization because they've done so much for, Jones County. Plans have a lot of great plans for Jones County in the future. So I want to support it when it's budget time.
Absolutely. Commissioner Robinson?
Same thing.
Same thing. Commissioner Robinson, Mark?
Absolutely, we should support it.
Well, at that time, it sounds like we need a motion.
Support.
A second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. No more discussion. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Mr. Black.
Thank you, Ms. Black.
Yes, sir.
No, 1,500. Well, 1,500 or?
He asked for 6, but I'm sure we can find more.
With 600. Request, what do we make a motion for how much?
6, because we're going to the city.
We'll leave it at that, 6.
6?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to clarify that. Yeah, thank you. Attorney Child, make sure we got the number right. Thank you very much. All right,
Don't be mad at me now. But you asked for 6, I'm gonna
make sure we got it straight, right?
That's all right. Every little bit helps.
All right, we've got approved revisions to the radar list for Jones County, list number 0417-169. I think I brought that to y'all's attention a while ago with when Miss Margie handed it to us, that the grade bypass would be added to that radar list at speed limit at 55, correct?
I may be a little, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, you got some discussion on that?
I may be behind, but who sets the speed limit on state roads?
I think DOT. DOT sets them and we approve them. I think so. This while we have the radar list in front of us, we got to approve their radar list. Hey, Lon, I know you'd probably like to see it at 100 or 150, but we can't have that.
Just one day?
Just one day.
Just one day.
I know.
I'll pay extra.
So we need a motion to approve this radar list.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
We have a second. Any more discussion? If none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Number 5 on our new business, amend the non-smoking policy to include e-cigarettes and vapor cigarettes. It's been brought to our attention that we need our policy amended because we don't include these in our policy. Being a non-smoker, I know Miss Margie likes to smoke, but she's very courteous and goes outside, and to all the other employees, we appreciate that also. But we need a little discussion on this, or anybody got a discussion or comments?
So moved, Chairman.
So moved, so we got a motion to the non-smoking policy.
Second.
Second, any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? We do appreciate those that go outside and smoke. Old business. Old business time, we got recommendation on River North Water Main. Mr. Tim Ingram, you got an update for us?
Yes, sir. I gave y'all a little booklet tonight. It's a narrative, talks a little bit about River North and what we found. The biggest thing, if you'll flip back to the back, there's some maps, kind of give you an idea how River North lays out. Our first recommendation is to go into the Town Creek Booster Pump Station. Go, yeah, you're on page 1. There are actually four maps. So we're on page 1.
Okay.
That shows the location of the Town Creek Booster Station. Booster station was built 2004. Station was manufactured in August of '04 actually. And it came with pump control valves on it. It's something pretty standard we use today. We use those pump control valves to open slowly and close slowly to minimize water hammer in the system from the pump cutting on and off. Pump control valve today opened in about 8 seconds and it's shut instantaneously. So it's not doing its job on what it's made to do. So our first recommendation is to get a technician down, look at the pump control valve, look at a solenoid and a relay. So when the pump is told to cut off, the relay will time it, allow the valve to shut and then cut it off because there's a switch on top of it that'll do it. So we can minimize our water surge, water hammer is what it's called. Today when we cut it off, there are 2 pressure relief valves in the booster station and both of them went off. One evacuates water on the inside of the station by spraying it out everywhere. The other one bypasses water from the discharge side into the suction side, so it goes back into the ground storage tank. That is a definite problem. That's probably about $25,000, $30,000 on the high end, depending on if the pilots need to rebuild and what kind of problems there are. If that does not work, we're getting into a little bit more serious issue. The second map highlights a improvement. If you look there in the middle of the page toward the bottom a little bit, you see the purple line coming up, tying into River Forest Drive. That's where the booster station is tied into now. When it cuts on, all of these homes in this area around it feel the impact. Last summer, I know there were 4 or 5 leaks on River Forest by itself. There were a couple on Old Ridge. There were some on Plantation, which is the red line that disappears off to the left. And in the last 12 months, in this area we're calling Phase 3, which is around Lake Deer Run, there have been 6. I cannot tell you all of those breaks are because of the pump station. We need to know the pipe's laying in rock and change in temperature moves that pipe and it's splitting it. It's splitting whole sections of it. What we would try next is to run the 12-inch main up to River North Boulevard, over to River Hills. The little inset shows a pressure regulating valve that would protect River North Boulevard, Old Ridge, River Forest, and everything toward the river from that booster pump station. We would still use the 8-inch line, but moving it may help us. It certainly will relieve the problems the other way. If we have to get into Phase 3, which is replacing the 8-inch line, we budgeted about $700,000 for construction and about $300,000 for rock, because about 3,000 feet of this line is laying directly in rock. And we don't know if we're gonna have to blast more rock or dig rock to get it put back in and get it bedded and put it back in.
How deep is that line, Tim?
It varies anywhere from 3 to 6 feet, depending on where it is in the dam. We've given you 3 phases, with the first one being, let's try to get the pump station better tuned in, which is by far the cheapest option, and see what we can do with that, and see if we can eliminate the problem. The station is running out on the curve, meaning it's set for 400 gallons a minute at 150 feet ahead. It's pumping more than that. So it's pushing more water through. It's an instantaneous when it comes on, and it's instantaneous when it cuts off. And that needs to stop regardless. Regardless of what we do, that needs to stop, because that's going to just continue with problems. The last 2 maps One starts the section along River North Boulevard, from the elevated tank heading out to Upper River Road. It's on two maps. From somewhere in the playground area, you see on sheet 3, the lake comes up and splits. The playground's right there to the right near Lake Ridge Lane. To somewhere in the neighborhood, it's beyond Fairway Circle to toward the next road with the 2-inch line. This is where the asbestos cement stops. There's about 3,000 feet in there. That's asbestos cement water main. The back, from there to the back gate is a class 200 pipe. This is probably the worst area because to put this line in, we're going to end up having to get easements. There's underground telephone, there's fiber optics, there's natural gas, there's sewer, there's underground power on both sides of the road. We're still continuing with storm sewer between the back of the storm drainage boxes and the power line. You've got anywhere from 3 to 6 feet. And you got cable TV laying on top of the water line right now. You're looking at approximately $600,000 to replace this back section. So just to give you a quick recap, I would recommend to you our first phase is to go in this booster station, try to fine tune this valve, get the pilots redone, whatever we need to do that's simple and is confined to that station. Put in a relay circuit and then go forward and see how to let it run for 2 or 3 months and see how it works.
Any questions for Tim at this time? You estimated how much?
25.
High end about 29. It is, that cost estimate is on page 3, page 4. The pump control valve, the cleaning and calibrations a day for a technician to come do both of them. It's gonna run you somewhere between $1,200 and $1,800, depends on who we get to come. If they have to repair the pilot controls, depending on what damage is done, we may have to replace them, maybe cheaper to replace them. We may have to redo all the diaphragms in them. Diaphragms are about $500. If we had to replace them, they're gonna run you about $2,000 a piece. There's 2 of them, one on each pump. Relay is going to be 2 pieces. It's going to be a timer and it's going to be a relay. This valve has a stem on top of it. It's a visual actuator with a lock nut. When it cuts off, when the pump starts up, the valve opens up. Okay. What should happen, and when it cuts off, the pump cuts off, the check valve shuts, and then the valve closes over about 15 seconds. What should happen is when a pump cuts on, that valve opens over about 30 seconds. So instead of it ramps up full speed, it pushes the valve up, it opens, everything's running, it cuts off, a solenoid opens, it allows the valve to shut while the pump's running. If it takes 25 seconds, your timer's no longer than 30. So your pump cuts off after the valve. And so you have no action. You have no surge from having water flow to none. It slowly stops, allows things to calm down. And if we need a different pilot assembly, we went ahead and budgeted for those as well. May not need it. If you go over 2 pages, second cost estimates for phase 2. Total was $161,400. We've got mobilization, we've got some ductile iron water main, a tap and sleeving valve at River Hills and River North Boulevard, and then one at River Hills and Southern. a pressure reducing valve to go between the 12-inch and the 8 going to the front, and then some soil and erosion, concrete driveways, and some Class A where we'll have to open cut the road. Third one gets a little more complicated. That's the section from River Forest, from River Hills to the Masters Cove. You're looking at about 955, 652 total. But again, that included $300,000 for rock. Hopefully, we wouldn't have near that kind of problem. But again, we're blasting in a residential neighborhood, so it's not gonna be as cheap as it typically is. And then the last one is River North to the back gate, from the elevated tank to the back gate. And the different connections we'll have, and then you're looking at about 644 there, 645.
We talk about possibly being able to install on top of the existing pipe, that wouldn't be an option on the 955 where the rock is, where they've already dug through, or would that be an issue?
Probably in places we can, but the problem we ran into trying to lay it over the existing line is that we don't have a way to feed the front end of River North. When we cut that line off that runs through Lake Deer Run, there's no water feed to the front. We looked at an alternate route, and it was about $220,000 to run the alternate route. So we didn't think it was feasible. We met up with the locate service out there and rode and looked, and she told us to be on the right side. We had the least amount to deal with, and so we just looked at running a new line.
I didn't know if that was an option on the.
Now, some of that on the back gate in section 4, we budgeted high to run some temporary water line and tried to lay it on top of that one, because that one's a bit deeper. It's the asbestos pipe, and we're not gonna do anything with it.
Better leave it in the ground then.
If we take it out, we have to send it to a hazardous waste landfill.
Any more questions for Tim?
I got just a comment. We know, with the malfunction in the valves, that the instant jolts are causing problems. We know that. We also know that with the relief valves not acting right, relieving right, we got a loss of water every time the pump comes on and cuts off. With it being on rock, that's, we don't know if this is exactly the problem, but I feel sure it's part of the problem. And even farther than that, we're saving money by water loss, but also doing phase 1 needs to be done regardless. So that would have no effect on the cost of phase 2, 3, and 4. It needs to be done anyway. I would hope, and my recommendation would be that we, I guess I could go ahead and form it. Well, I'll make a recommendation that we use construction account funds for the $29,000 to go ahead and do phase 1, and then wait and see if it's going to correct some of our problems before we have to start thinking of phase 2, 3, or 4.
Making the motion, go out for bid. I'll second it.
Okay, any more discussion? We got a motion and a second. Commissioner Martin, any comment?
Just out of curiosity, are there any other options other than what's presented? And again, I'm not an engineer, so I don't know if there's overland, is there some decorative way of doing it, exposed without all the other expenses? Because we're going to cut fiber. We already know that.
Well, we've talked about trying to hang it from poles. I mean, because there's so much junk in the ground.
Yeah.
We're hoping that, and I don't have the list, and I don't know if Jason has it or not, but I think last year River North had 10 water main breaks. Last year they had 4 reported that were on 8-inch lines. From this time to this last year, they've had 6. I know 2 of them were in the same, 2 of them within 2 or 3 feet of each other. I know over the past 10 years, Freddie has had as many as 10 in River North. and I think it's either all have been 6 or 8. I really think we're to a point, and I've asked them to look at doing this, is buying some ductile iron. And when they go out there and repair it, put ductile iron back in the ground and not put the PVC back in the ground. The line's 40 years old. It does have a pump on it. It is getting hammered. It will fatigue over a period of time. And the other option, I would tell you, fix, number one, the first phase is go fix the pumps. It's just sit and wait. Just sit and wait. If he can go into his areas, he's having problems where he's getting the worst movement, and replace them with ductile iron when they break. I know River North, half of it doesn't have water, and I know that's a problem. But we may be able to replace enough of the weak areas and not look at spending $600,000.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, any more questions? Any more discussion? Got a motion and a second, I believe, on the, going forward with it, put out for bid for this relief valve, I guess I'm calling it, right? Phase 1. All right, there's no more discussion, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, thank you.
Thank you.
Whole business, award RFP, request for proposal for insurance services. We put out a RFP for our brokerage, and all the commissioners had opportunity. We've got some proposals back, and I'd like to open up the floor right now for discussion on these proposals. Left up side. Commissioner Kitchen, would you like to start?
I'll just reiterate what I said in the work session, that on my calculations, based on all the information we've gotten, not including the basic employee life and a lot of the voluntary aspects of it, we're looking at around $3,000 difference in our the proposals. We all know that's not where we're going to save money. We're going to save money in our plan, and we did. My suggestion is we did what we said we were going to do, and that's look at the plans and look at the cost. I don't really see a whopping. We're not getting what we asked for out of service providing right now. The plan is a whole different story. We do need to look at a plan, I think, and make some changes to that. But that's not what we're looking at this point. It's only broker services. So I didn't see anything that stood out that we're not that we're so far out of the ballpark on what we've got. And second part of that is I've not heard one person that was dissatisfied with the service that we get.
Sure. Commissioner Pitts, I'm moving left to right.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Pretty much the same thing that Commissioner Kitchens mentioned. Partners Benefits, they provide a good service for us. They provide, the rates are comparable to any other provider. I think this was a good exercise to show that they are providing us a good service at a good rate, and I'm in favor of continuing to work with Partners Benefits Group.
Commissioner Robinson, you're next.
I think the employees say it best. I haven't heard from any that want to change companies, and they surely don't want to do away with the service that Butch and Claudia furnished for the employees. You can't put a price on that. My wife handles all of our insurance dealings, and my insurance is with the company where I retired. But I've seen my wife be on the phone for practically 2 days straight, trying to get things straightened out, and usually it be the problem of on the other end, and that doesn't happen with the service that we have. When someone has a problem, they are on it right then, and it's usually taken care of within minutes. They live in Jones County. They have a vested interest in Jones County. And from everything I've seen, I mean, it only proves the point, drives it home even more, that we need to stay with Partners Benefit Group.
Commissioner Martin?
Mr. Chairman, I look through a little different lens. I look at the numbers, and my point all along is that we save the money close to 100 or more than 100,000 by going direct to ACCG. Just looking right here, there's $73,000 in commission, and that's with 6 unknowns. From a transparency standpoint, we still don't have accurate numbers from our current broker, and that's an issue that I have. So 73,000 plus the 8,000 that Sam and I probably calculated pretty close, within plus or minus $100 or so dollars, puts us at 81,000. And then the unknowns are medical bridge, accident, cancer, whole life, and voluntary life. And if I went on a limb and said, all of that was 1/3 of the total policy, that puts it at another $15,000 to $18,000. We're right at bumping up to 100,000. My point all along is that going directly to ACCG, we wouldn't lose any service, but more importantly, we'd save that $100,000 a year. In-house, other counties our size facilitate this plan without a broker. At $100,000, again, that's $2 million. That makes up a shortfall in the park. That takes care of a lot of the water issues that we have and the expansion that's necessary to maintain the water that we have an issue with. And it undergirds our budget. So my position is still the same, that we save money going direct to ACCG. We don't need a middleman. ACCG has proven that. If I had to go with a middleman, I do a switch. I learned through this process that we've been getting quoted for a Ford when there are Cadillacs out there for the same price. No offense to Ford or anything else. If I can drive a Cadillac for the same price as a Ford, I'm going to do it. Our broker has still not been transparent. That's a problem for me. We still don't know what our number is. Can you tell me that number? I know you can. And our human resource director can't tell us because we don't have it. That's a problem. If I'm doing business with you for 15 years, you ought to be able to tell me what I'm paying. More importantly, this lesson did show us that we could at least save that $100,000 a year by going direct to ACCG without having any issues. Maybe Chris got to do a little bit more work. Maybe he's got to step his game up. But at the end of the day, we save money. The other issue is deductibles. This plan that we're on, if they're shopping and doing the best for our employees, is not a plan that fits our employees. With escalating deductibles that have gotten outrageous, it's not a plan that is best suited for the employees that we have based on what they make. And that's a concern. If I'm doing good business, I'm looking at you totally. Our other vendors that came in did a good job of that with very little information, I would say cooperation from the county. We didn't give them anything because we didn't have anything that we could give. Shame on us. And that's sad that we didn't have that to at least say, all right, here, go compare apples to apples. They're guessing. And they did a pretty good job guessing without that information. I think we could do better. More importantly, I know we can save the money. And at the end of the day, when we save money, we can help our county. We don't have to raise taxes. That $200,000, well, not $200,000, but the $100,000 a year over 15 years, $1.5 million. It's real money.
You mentioned 73,000, Commissioner Martin.
I was just using this number here based off of what Partners Benefit Group gave us on option 1. It had 73,000 at the bottom of it.
But we had 2 options with them.
If I go up to option number 2, it's 66,000 plus the other 8,000. And again, I only got to calculate a handful of these because I'm doing it by hand without a benefit of an Excel spreadsheet. Plus the unknowns that we don't have. We can't calculate medical bridge down to voluntary life, but I calculated 8,000 just using the dental the vision and the basic employee life, and I went across the entire matrix based on number of employees per category, and then totaled it together. If I had more time, an Excel spreadsheet, I think I'd be on the money.
So that's where you drive you got up to the 73 by your calculations with 8 on the uncertain.
Well, that was 8 on the actual, the uncertain,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I have no idea.
My biggest fear is, we got a late start. I will say that, I've gotten a great deal of education last couple of weeks, not last month, this past weekend alone. I got a lot of education, asked a lot of questions, listened. I know we need to make a lot of changes, that's for sure. We need to look at our policies early. We need to know well in advance. Talking with other carriers and all, other counties to be exact, because I've literally called, like I said, this is the biggest decision, one of our biggest decisions of the year right now, because it's one of our highest expenditures, or not the highest, but it's right up there with the rest of them every month. Checking with other counties, their services they're getting and all. Granted Partners Group been here, they do a good job. I think that, we need to see a little bit more. I hear counties saying that February this year, and they're up for enrollment at the same time we are. February, they were already giving heads up that, hey, you got a possible 2%, or you might have a possible 4% increase. Well in advance of the time they have for this increase. And they tell me that in April, they found out for sure, first part of April, they were finding out that their actual numbers. And they had time to actually go and shop to look for the best options for their employee. Because we've got to have a win. If we can get just one win, if it's for the employees, we've accomplished something. But I think we have accomplished something, because we have opened up our eyes as far as how we conduct our business with insurance. My fear is, I've talked with, opinions from other commissioners about their fears, and we're getting such a late start that we go and prepare next year in advance, start knowing our numbers well in advance, giving heads up as far as talk with Claudia, she said a quarterly basis, which is fine, but we know what we are on our losses. We get the transparency that was promised to us as far as what our actual principal and what the actual percentage of there, to be total transparent. We get those numbers so that there's no question to what we're paying for and what we're getting. Again, this is a hard decision. We need to make the right decision. But I think we need to look into this a lot earlier next year and start shopping and planning for this day, not getting down to the very last day. That's where we're at right now.
Trying to get you guys to do that early this year. Y'all delayed it.
Well, we asked for a direct quote.
But to open this process up.
Open this process up. Now, let me explain. We got the direct quote. I talked with Ben. We got it yesterday at 11:45 is when we finally got it. That didn't give us enough time to do. Jason and I got a crash course on insurance 101. And that's where we came up with the numbers we were able to come up with as far as where we're at.
Did ACCG say we could make this transfer happen in this period of time?
The HR was one issue. Do we have HR in place? Like I said, there's a lot of variables that scare me. And the last thing I want to do is much as we need to make change, whether it be currently with a current broker or future brokers, there has to be changes on how we conduct ourselves. And I think this is step one. And I think truly we're at the deadline period today.
I just want to know how you do business with people and you don't know what price you're paying.
That's where we're asking for transparency, because it's
Still don't have it.
well, we're gonna enter into, I presume this will be a contractual agreement between us and the broker, so we will have in place the transparency clause that our request for furnishing. And revisit this next year is my thoughts.
I refuse to sign a contract and I don't know what I'm paying for. Not gonna happen.
Any more discussion? At this time, if there's no more discussion, we'll need a motion on the floor. Which way you wanna go with it?
Chairman, I make a motion that we go with an annual contract with the transparency clause, quarterly reports on our, on everything. And with the intent that we're gonna look at the policy, going forward, because I think that's where we're gonna find real changes.
Okay. Well, I've got a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
A second. Partners.
With, partner benefit.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor and a second.
Mr.
More
Chairman,
discussion?
can I ask one question real quick? Do you want to specify between the flat fee arrangement and the
Yes, we need to do
per
that.
employee per month?
The flat fee arrangement.
And that will be a motion based on the flat fee arrangement. Any more discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
We did learn that, based on the way partners benefit bills, that it will put any future organization at a disadvantage because they collect their premium all up front. So that poses a challenge for the next entity that comes thereafter. Keep that in mind.
Any more discussion?
One thing, as far as the deductibles and the coverage that the employees have now, that either to the credit or the fault of the board. The previous board and what they have going forward, this board will decide based on input from employees.
Okay.
A partners benefits group or anyone else can't be blamed for what our deductibles are or what our coverage is.
Sure. Any more discussion? If none, all in favor of partners group?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Ayes have it. Now, we've got an opportunity with the board's permission that we had the partner group here today. My understanding, I think y'all might have us a proposal ready or possibly a renewal or some numbers that you can share with us tonight? Or is it, I misunderstood. Do we have anything tonight?
We got some figures, but there's so many options that you need to look at. We need to get to you and your committee together. Let's bring it and pull them out. But it's gonna be more attractive than most counties are.
Okay. When
y'all, we can be ready today or to sit down with you. When do you want to do it?
When would like the board to have a work session to go over? Cause we got to make how much time have we actually got?
The sooner we do it, the better. And we can just, kind of go over your renewal, go over your losses, all the things that you've requested. As soon as we could be ready to do it tomorrow, if you want.
Are you gonna let the employees participate in this exercise, or this is just a board decision?
These employees put in so much input, I would surely hope they were here to be a part of this. We've got a tremendous amount of employee support, and I would love to see them here for their input.
They just wanna make sure you give them enough notice,
Sure.
Or y'all set the time with your
And we'll
department
be
heads
here.
and we'll be here. You set it as soon as you're ready and we'll be there.
Okay.
All right, any times or anything work with y'all?
Do you want to maybe have a couple of meetings for them because you got some employees, somebody could come, somebody couldn't, before they could rotate?
That's a good idea, for those that can't make it.
Maybe with several, I don't know, whatever y'all think.
What do you think, John? How can we handle this and do it properly?
Or maybe do the department heads with y'all first and then go back out and say, hey, this is what we recommend, you tell us what you don't want.
However you want to set up, basically be work sessions.
Sure. When we all be available, we can sit down and
I'm flexible.
I'm flexible also.
I can do it as early as this Friday. If that's too late, please don't, hold up because of me for this, exercise.
Commissioner Kitchens, you-
I'm good after 10 o'clock Friday.
Commissioner Martin?
I will not be participating.
So, what time would you like to have a work session? Give me a time, we'll make it work.
Just for me and my benefit, if we can do it at least one of them at 5:30, and then the second one can be at any time.
Okay, so we'll do 5:30 Friday?
Okay?
Is that good with everybody?
Maybe send something out to the department heads, asking them to go ahead and be talking to the employees about it. Get some feedback, maybe prepare hopefully, maybe you could do it in one. I don't know,
Sure.
Maybe
You
do
wanna
it in
do
one.
one during the workday maybe, so that in case people on a Friday evening have things to do.
And we need to do it Monday if that'll help out, Do it Monday at 5:30, since like you said, it's going into the weekend.
I mean, I just mean, it
I
might
understand.
be easier for some employees and department heads, but we can do two. We can do one during the workday, maybe while lunch, like a lunch and learn or something.
And that's optional. So whatever you say,
And
Chairman.
do a Friday, or a 5:30, whichever.
You wanna have two, Friday and again with employees Monday?
Like I said,
All right.
just at least one of them at 5:30 and the other one, whatever you guys decide.
Can we do them both Friday? I can't do Monday.
Okay. All right, let's tentatively set 5:30 till we get through with the work session. I mean, not that we're going, Tommy said we'll get through before 12, and I guess we'll get through before. All good with Friday, we'll schedule a work session for Friday, at 5:30, and get with the department heads and employees, and I'd like to see some
Input.
participation.
Did you wanna do one during the day that
Well, if you
way?
got a lot of them, you may not need to, they're gonna come in.
I guess you make a decision after the meeting Friday if there's another meeting that's necessary.
Okay, all right.
Okay. All right, we'll do that. You don't need that motion, won't we? No.
May I make a suggestion?
Yes, ma'am. Your input's great.
If you have the work session at 5:30 Friday, if you made a decision Friday, we could schedule a call meeting at 6, even though the work session may go to later on that evening.
Sure.
And then you would actually make a decision to help with the open enrollment. If that's,
If you can make a decision, if you
Sure.
can make a decision.
If we got the information we need and the employee anticipation and see where we're at,
Because you could always cancel the meeting, right?
sure.
If it's not necessary.
That'd be great.
The employees are going to talk to their department head, and the department head going to relay that information to us, right?
Sure, but employees are also welcome to.
Oh, yes,
yeah,
yes.
Attend, and I'd love to see some
Yes, sir.
participation.
But we wouldn't necessarily have to have, like 200 employees come and speak,
Sure.
but they surely could be here, yes, sir.
Okay. Good idea, thank you. Any more discussion on that? We'll move on to the department heads here that'd like to speak. The resident? It looks like you don't have one. All right. We have no citizens' comments, commissioner comments. Mr. Mark, you want to go first tonight?
Disappointed, Mr. Chairman. But that's okay. Progress has been made. We had enough information, we had ample time, we still can make good decisions. And sometimes we won't have all of that, and we make decisions on the fly, but when it comes down to employee health and well-being, $1.9 million worth of policy, I think we had enough from ACCG and from Blue Cross Blue Shield, et cetera, and even everyone that presented, that we could have made a different decision and got our employees a good plan and saved us some dollars. Overall, I still believe we needed to bring this in-house and save the money and use that elsewhere. Beyond that, had a good training experience. Hopefully we can leverage that to do some good here in the county. Water's going in the right direction. Did make the suggestion that we get more employees out to our training. And hopefully there will be a meeting with department heads where they can talk about that and identify some folks to take advantage of what we get exposed to, and maybe doing a shift in how we apply training dollars. We know the judge has been nearby and has made recommendations that we need to start moving on some of those things. Hopefully the roof will get done and at least that'll stop leaking. And we know the sheriff is coming. I think we need to start our budget process much earlier than we've had in the past, to take into consideration some of the real issues that we have to face. And I think this time department heads really need to put in the budget what's important and what's relevant. And hopefully they'll have a listening ear. Thank you.
Commissioner Robinson?
I'm very encouraged by, the board and the decisions made today, and it's a good day for the employees, and it's a good day for Jones County. Thank you.
Mr. Pitt?
Mr. Chairman, I want to share with the board that Mayor Tension has invited Matt and I to come to the meeting on May the 15th because they expressed some interest in helping us with the Highway 18 expansion. They expressed some interest in maybe helping us with the playground and maybe 2 pavilions. So on the 15th, we'll be going before the city council to share the progress we've made and let them know about a playground and some pavilions and hopefully get some support from them. To show it's a good form of partnership. We've always been talking for a while about this playground, and he's got some support from the council, and they want a presentation. So Matt and I'll be going on the 15th to share some information, and you'll hear about it. You're welcome to come, or I'll just report back to the board.
Mr. Kitchen?
One thing I learned this past week is talking to a lot of benefit providers and other counties too, was that most people start around the end of October, 1st of November, start looking at their next year plans. So, us coming into office January 13, I personally feel like we were late to the game to start with. I've probably done more homework, more studying, more thinking, more looking, more questioning, more phone calls on this one subject than any other thing since we've been here, because I do think it was a big, and I'm comfortable with my decision tonight. So, that being said, strategic planning from our work, from our retreat, we need to look forward to seeing, how we're gonna start getting to the areas we lined up on all these lists. Policies, purchasing policies, take-home vehicle policies, that kind of stuff. All those are small wins that make up a big difference. And I asked Jason if we've got any update on the LMIG changes we sent to him. Any feedback?
We've submitted them, but we haven't heard back yet.
That's it.
I forgot one thing, Mr. Chairman, I apologize. Your Parks and Rec Youth Track and Field team took almost 80 kids up to district the previous week, and this week almost 50 will be going to state.
Wow.
So they'll be representing Jones County and Augusta. So
That's great.
prayers
deal.
and hopes.
That's great. That's
To
great.
top that, Chairman, one more thing too.
Okay.
Jones County boys soccer went to state while we were down in Savannah, and they played the number 4 ranked team in the nation.
Wow.
We were ranked number 4 in the state. They were ranked number 4 in the nation, and they beat our boys on a penalty kick, a free penalty kick, 3-2 in the last minute of the game. So, talk about something for those boys to be proud of. That was a good thing.
Quite an accomplishment.
Yep.
I usually don't comment, but like I said, I think tonight was the first step in the right direction with the county. Mr. Martin, I know you don't agree, but I had some fear, the more investigation I did, that we needed to take time to look into this further. But I think you admit we are going in the right direction. We have looked at it. This was addressed. And once we get an opportunity to get with the partners group and see what they've got to offer, see if we can help the employees out in any way, because that is the biggest concern our employees got right now is their package. And hopefully they can bring us something to the table that the county can both forward and help the employees out. So with that said, at this time we got citizen comments. Anybody like to come up and speak? You got 1 minute.
I just got 2 comments. The Public Works,
Who you are, but for the record.
Chuck Lloyd, 410 Union Hill Church Road, Gordon, Georgia, 31031.
Thank you, sir.
The Public Works Department's closed on Fridays. If you want participation from those, I don't know whether that was going to be maybe an issue with talking to employees about your health thing. And
By 5:30, won't they?
Yeah, I'm saying that this is for them, so
Right, I'm just,
it's gonna be voluntary participation, but I mean, this is all about the employees, so if they
They
got
wanna
some
be there, they
concern, I'd
need to be.
love to see them here.
that's cool. Second comment, when they were talking about the water system in River North, I don't know whether they realize or not, or maybe hadn't thought about it, but a lot of those water services are tapped straight up because of room in it. And trying to put the water main on top of it would be tough trying to do that with those services straight up like they are. That's a lot of percentage of River North. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else, citizen, would like to come forward?
Howard Lancaster, 460 Highway 22. I got a question for Frank. Georgia Initiative for Community Housing. Is that a government entity? What is that exactly?
Well, I frankly couldn't tell you exactly what it is. It probably is, I would bet it is a government initiative.
Well, he said plan, that you started with plan. That's what caught my attention. I mean, if it's a government entity and, you want to give them money, that's one thing. But if it's a private corporation or private whatever, the county shouldn't be giving them the money. We've been down this road before. So now what?
Is anybody here from that group still here? Jason, maybe you know.
I can talk a little bit about that. GIC is a partnership between Georgia Department of Community Affairs and one of the schools at UGA. Maybe Carl Vinson, the Center for Housing and Demographics. I can't remember what department that's housed under, but it's a collaborative effort between a state agency and the University of Georgia, and then they have support from various corporate sponsors. Georgia Power is a big sponsor, and some different entities like that. But I would say it's a government-led effort.
Is it a corporation or is it private?
No, sir. I think it's a government entity.
You go along with that?
I don't know.
Okay, I was just wondering. I mean, I had a question.
I understand. Thank you very much. Anybody else? No one else like to come forward? At this time, we have one thing left on the agenda, and that's adjournment. We need a motion.
So moved.
You got a second? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Thank y'all for coming very much. That's 7.